It's called a promo,
Shut
kid,
your
and
mouth,
if you want to
John.
be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it, so go ahead.
You ready? No! I said, are you ready?
That was good. I'm glad you finally decided to pull that giant stick out of your butt and have some fun for once in your life.
You're uneducated marks! You sit there on your phones tweeting out your opinions like they're worth a damn. Let me explain something to you people. You don't know shit!
And I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's death.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Hey, appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it.
Wait until it was official.
Happy birthday. We were trying to get a chance going.
My man Dylan. Appreciate it, brother.
So what are we doing here today? We're finally doing another Through the Table, and we're about to start doing them regularly again. So I'm excited about that fact.
Give me a hell yeah!
Yes, yeah.
Yeah!
I just had to take a coffee sip real quick.
Let me take a water.
There you go.
It's a beautiful sticker, great logo, wrestling in the middle.
I was gonna say, Dylan, you need a logo.
I got the Wrestling in the Middle tee on.
He's like, "What's up? What's up?
Go.
Got the shirt."
I'm rocking the tee. Hold on, let's get up to the camera.
Yeah, there you go. Get close up.
So like,
Okay, Malcolm in the Middle logo, Scratch logo, Roswell logo, this season 4 WrestleMania logo. We got 4 logos. And then I got the Ring Genital shirt. I brought the Ring Genital shirt.
Flexing on him big. Big flex.
All right. Now, what's fun about this Through the Table is it's going to be a regular short Through the Table episode, but I'm combining like 3 Through the Table ideas we've had over the years into one. We're just going to knock them out.
Okay.
Starting with something that's conducive to the season we just had, Road to WrestleMania season, I have something called the WrestleMania 50 theory. And Dylan knows a little bit about this. I've talked about it, but we're about to actually dive into it. A while back, watching one of these WrestleManias, I noticed something pretty interesting that I think isn't talked about too much in wrestling, and it's what sparked the theory. Every 10 years, we seem to see a fan favorite workhorse wrestler finally get the big shot. And also, coincidentally enough, we see them compete twice during that WrestleMania in most cases.
That's cool.
Have either one of you noticed that before I start?
I've never. This is the first time I'm hearing it, and now you got me intrigued, though.
I remember seeing like a post about it on the old FB. Danielson's one of them, right?
Yes. Daniel
I
Bryan.
don't remember who all it is, but yeah, I remember that theory.
To start it is WrestleMania 10, of course. It's every 10 years. And it's a little odd feeling because looking back, we compare Owen Hart to the type of wrestlers we're categorizing here. But in retrospect, looking back on the 90s period, Bret Hart was counterculture to everything WWF had. That's why he was who he was.
Acknowledge me.
Best there ever is, the best there ever was, the best there ever will be.
And also, I feel like looking back in the 90s, early 90s especially, some would argue that more fans still did like Bret more than Owen. But regardless, Bret Hart is the guy to look at here. Opens WrestleMania 10 by facing his brother Owen, who he was in a heated rivalry with at the time. Then later goes on to main event and beat Yokozuna for the WWF title. Sets the precedent for this.
Okay. I do remember that fight. I do remember that one.
Now, before we even go on to the next one, I want to quickly knock another one of those Through the Table topics out because it isn't going to take long and it's relevant to the WrestleMania we're talking about. What if, this is a little what if, when Owen Hart beat Bret Hart in the opener of WrestleMania 10, he won the right to face Yokozuna for the title instead. And if WrestleMania 10 had ended with Owen as champion instead of Bret, the whole landscape of wrestling would have been vastly different, I feel like. Or would it? Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think the obvious thing is obvious maybe, and I don't want to mention it, but I think you know what I'm thinking. But other than that, like, damn, like we would be talking about Owen. Owen would be in the Hall of Fame probably, I think.
He would have been the Owen would have been the one giving out the first AEW belt, probably.
I was gonna say, will we have the Bret Hart invitation, Bret Hart Cup?
Damn.
I actually like this topic because it's kind of like a alternate universe, and I'm digging that. I'm digging
What
that.
if?
What if?
What if at the end of WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart was at the end of the stage, seething, looking up at Owen, like, "Damn, my little brother is better than me."
Okay. Do you think the Montreal in that case with the Montreal Screwjob would it even happen?
Or would it have happened to Owen Hart instead of Bret Hart?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's really bad to think about, but at the same time, it's like interesting.
Yeah, just a little what if.
Thank you.
I knew that didn't really need to have a full 30-minute episode on it either, so I was like, let's just knock that what if out right now.
Yeah.
No, it's now thinking about it. Now it makes me think. I was like, would Bret Hart been in the Nation of Domination? Would he
Dude, I don't know.
Owen was in the Nation of Domination. Then just like, are we just reversing everything?
What was making me laugh so hard doing that was whenever I said knock it out of there, it showed Dylan's screen and he just like swiped Raw. He's like,
That was intentional. I was like, yeah, let's go. Moving on.
All right, now to continue on to the WrestleMania 50 theory, let's look at WrestleMania 20. Chris Benoit. Yeah, but we're going to have to look at Chris Benoit here.
Talk about it.
Another over workhorse wrestler who you wanted to see win the big one that just hadn't yet. And he wins the Royal Rumble starting from number 1 and goes on to jump brands, go to Raw, hop in between one of the hottest rivalries on that show, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, heads into the main event of WrestleMania 20 and wins it. Emotional moment, stands in the confetti with his family and Eddie Guerrero. Huge one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, that he didn't have to wrestle twice, but likewise, he did have to go through a Royal Rumble entering at number 1 and a whole bunch of adversity. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I was wondering because I was like, there's not a lot of people that have wrestled twice and won WrestleMania. So I was thinking, who else fits that bill and how? And I'm glad you clarified that because I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's the only one where there's not multiple matches they have on Mania, but there is still adversity. And the main factor into this theory, of course, is that it's Chris Benoit, workhorse that's over with fans, but not with the company. And that brings us to the one that sparked this whole theory, WrestleMania 30, which is when I started to really realize this. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, single most over workhorse wrestler of all time, and a guy who, even when we could push him to win a big one, we would constantly see him get the rug pulled out from under him or get screwed out of it. The road to WrestleMania 30 was one of the loudest and wildest times. Daniel Bryan finds himself in a position where he has to face Triple H in the opener of the show, and if he wins, he goes on to the main event to be in a triple threat against Randy Orton and Batista for the Undisputed World Championship. So now we're taking the qualities of WrestleMania 10 and 20 and combining them. He's got to have 2 matches, go into a triple threat. It's like all into one.
It's crazy. Yeah. I remember watching it for the first time because obviously I had missed that period.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and watched the pay-per-view for the first time, and I saw like from the beginning Triple H to the end Randy Orton, Batista, and I was like, wow, he really went out and did that.
Yes, Mania. He wins it. Huge emotional moment at the close of 30. Hugs his family, hugs Connor Mahalik, rest in peace. It was probably the biggest one up to that point. I feel like, again, I'm not trying to diminish Bret Hart or Chris Benoit, but Daniel Bryan was like the guy.
Give me a hell yeah.
I need to look. I want to see this footage. I'm about to look this footage up afterwards.
Yeah. If I
never seen
that. It's kind of crazy, but if I ever tell anybody to watch a specific road to WrestleMania, I'm either going to pick the road to WrestleMania 30 or the road to WrestleMania 40, which we're about to touch on. But those 2 ones are like the craziest road to WrestleManias I've ever been a part of because the fans just took over.
Acknowledge me.
Road to WrestleMania 30 and 40. Write that down.
Last year, WrestleMania 40, we witnessed one of the craziest builds to a world title match at WrestleMania we've ever witnessed. Cody Rhodes, who had to win a second Royal Rumble in a row to get there, almost denied his shot at the WWE Championship because The Rock versus Roman would have been bigger. And this is where the fourth wall really gets broken down in a way we hadn't witnessed before leading up to WrestleMania. Fans rally behind Cody. We want Cody. We see the biggest creative audible in wrestling take place as Cody Rhodes goes into WrestleMania 40, forced to compete in the first night in a tag team match against Roman The Rock, loses that, so he's forced to face Roman Reigns in the main event in a tribal rules match. Mind you, Roman Reigns has been champion for over 3 years leading into this. Cody finally finishes the story. Huge moment. I called it as one of the best, if not the best moment in pro wrestling history, him handing his mom that belt. So, again, another workhorse who had to overcome all the odds, like stupendous odds. I'd say that's the biggest.
When you put it like that, yeah. Yeah, it's like in that case, yeah. Damn. Shoot. Damn. You know, was that when hold on, let me say this without saying it. Was that when VK M was running things? Or was that Triple H?
That was Triple H's first Mania under him.
Okay. Cool.
Like that last year is when we saw the turn of the changing of the guards. Vince McMahon had no choice but to leave. Triple H had no choice but to step up and take over. There's a lot of changes. And WrestleMania 40, actually, this is a whole separate thing, but last year, WrestleMania 40, that's when we saw the biggest changes get made. The intro even changed, and that was cool.
Yeah. That was definitely a moment for sure, right? I was thinking, though, God, how do you outdo that? Obviously that there wasn't, not all of it was planned, right?
Right.
Like, if you plan to outdo that, then it takes away a little bit of the
So,
what's the word? The
What?
the state of being genuine. What
Right.
word?
Maybe the authenticity is the word you're looking for.
There we go. Yeah.
But with that, I think you bring up a good note. WrestleMania 10 and 20 felt like that was the plans. With 30 and 40, it felt like those weren't the original plans. We just made them the plans. And that's what's so cool about those.
Power to the people, man.
Yeah. That brings me to what this is all culminating to, WrestleMania 50. Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes. These are all wrestlers, right? Wrestlers that maybe weren't what WWE saw themselves pushing, but were forced to because of how much the fans wanted to see them win. So I got to thinking, who is somebody right now that is a workhorse loved by fans that maybe we could see in this position by the time we get to WrestleMania 50? And my answer, you guys will have a chance to answer, but mine, Ilya Dragunov. I don't see WWE ever pushing him to the level he could be, but the fans see it. I see it. And God willing, he's around for the next 9 years. I think he could be our big underdog guy at WrestleMania 50. Cheers to Dragunov.
You obviously know I would love that.
Yeah, but what do you?
I think, though, would make it, how you make it bigger, and obviously, again, authenticity. If it's not a male superstar.
Oh, I love it.
Give me a hell yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking here, who's like.
So, what do we want to talk about?
I'm thinking, because, like, right now, NXT is hot, right?
Yeah.
Especially that women's division. And I'm like, well, any one of them I could see, like, being world champion. At least, like, the ones that are on the top, like your Jordan Graces, your Cares.
On that same, when we're talking about underdogs, let's look at who we already have that's not even in NXT. Roxanne Perez. She's overdue that moment.
Roxanne's definitely one I immediately was like, did just get the rug pulled from under her this year, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
So is this sort of a things to come sort of thing? And like when you first said it, my first thought should have been Dragunov. And I feel a little bad because I'm like the biggest Dragunov fan ever. But my first thought was the guy who got screwed out of his WrestleMania again this year, sort of, Chad Gable.
Mm.
Thank you.
That would be an interesting one because he's a wrestler's wrestler and fans do love him, so he fits the bill.
Thank you.
Where's my boy Carmelo Hayes? Come on, man.
That could be one. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
My thoughts would be different because the first one that I think of is LA Knight. Yeah.
Could be.
Basically, fans love him. I think to be the guy to run with the ball, I think is I feel like he should, but I don't know if the companies would be behind him. But I know the people would be behind him for it.
We the people.
I think the one thing that gets me with that one is the fact that LA Knight still is already up there in age.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know if I see him going long enough to reach that. And if he does he retain? Do you still maintain the fan support? And do you say he is still over? Like, do they eventually go, okay, well, then we have to push him? Because we don't know how Triple H operates for sure yet.
Yeah.
Triple H could be like, you know what? Do it.
It'll be interesting to see again. Like, who's to say who that person will be, man or woman, when WrestleMania 50 comes? But I hope I'm at least right in the fact that this theory isn't just hocus pocus bogus, and I'm actually on to something.
You're on something with that wordplay for sure.
Yeah. Let me twist it up a little bit now. The second part of this through the table is less of a theory and more of a conspiracy. This is what I like to call the Cody conspiracy, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
What do we want to talk about?
Okay.
This is the Cody conspiracy. I have it on good authority to believe that maybe something deeper has been at play in pro wrestling for a long time that we don't know about. And it started the moment in 2016 that Cody Rhodes left WWE. I think when he did that, what we see when he leaves 2016 is an unhappy Cody Rhodes who isn't wanting to be in WWE and is about to take the wrestling world by storm on the independents through all the other major promotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think when he did that, he actually was thinking about this shit right here today. I think his plan all along was, okay, I'm going to go on the independents, make a huge name for myself. Me and my friends here are going to start this wrestling company called All Elite Wrestling. I'm going to be the main star of this show. And then when I'm not, I'm going to go back to WWE. I'm going to take it over from the inside. This is where it gets a little bit of kookiness. Take it over from the inside, become the champion there, and merge these wrestling companies together through me. I think Cody Rhodes' idea all along was, I'm going to go back into WWE as the man, an established man, and take it over from the inside. I think right now he's been trying, and that's why there's so many subtle disses to his old company. There's so many subtleties to it. I think Cody Rhodes has been trying to just take wrestling over from 2016 up till now, and it's working.
If that's the case, this man is like criminal mastermind genius. If that's the case from 2016, that I like it though. I'm gonna entertain it and like it because if that is possible and you could join forces and make it happen somehow, where you could get that crossover event, make them both make wrestling somehow one big whole where it's not, too much on this is better than yours. If we could come together even for one night for a major card, that'd be sick. And who better not to bridge that gap than Cody Rhodes? So it does make sense, especially like you're saying from the inside, being the man.
So would that then explain like all the people that come in from AEW getting these, your Ethan Pages, your
Ricky Starks, Sean Spears, and all people who have a history with Cody Rhodes. And on top of that, I don't think any of those people, Cody Rhodes especially, hate AEW at all. I just think there's a whole like inner circle thing at play where Cody Rhodes has really been undercover in WWE this whole time, thinking to himself like, I am the glue that puts this all back together. And maybe he is, I don't know.
He's a double agent.
That's crazy though, man.
Okay. So then it works either way, because whether you get WWE people going to AEW and AEW stars going to WWE universe, people get familiar with it. And then if you can bridge the gap, then you have unlimited storylines where people will be like, holy shit, even though I don't understand why the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, I've never seen these guys called the Young Bucks before, like for whatever reason, let's just say. And the Lucha Bros, then people could connect it back from history with AEW, vice versa. WWE stars like Swerve and Hit Row, or, the Tony Storm gimmick coming back to WWE. Hell, Mercedes Moné, being Sasha Banks, coming back against Becky Lynch or one of the Four Horsemen and women, and stuff like that. So it works both ways.
Sounds like the Wrestling in the Middle universe.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that sounds like what we're doing with the universe.
We're bringing it into fruition. The theory's going to make it happen. The prophecy has been fulfilled.
Yeah, just a little conspiracy. Cody's undercover. I had to get that one off.